Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming to our event today. We're going to be exploring the topic, does your gut affect your... No, other way around. Does your brain affect your gut? Oh, good start. Today I am joined by Liz Introno. She is a body psychotherapist and biodynamic massage therapist at Truth Pie, and Jenny Tomei, who is a nutritional therapist with Truth Pie. I'm Joanna Rennie. I am the director of Truth Pie. So I will quickly get you in front of those experts rather than myself. Liz, would you like to introduce yourself and let everybody know a little bit more about what you do?
Sure. So I'm Liz, and I am a body psychotherapist. So a psychotherapist that looks at the whole person, not just the mind and thought processes and obviously emotions, but also at the integration with that in our day-to-day lives. We also understand that there is a connection between the body and the brain. They're not separate things, they're all together, and we are all one. So everything will have an impact on all the dimensions of life. So we call the biopsychosocial, so biological, social, and also psychological. And then biodynamic massage therapist is a type of massage that works very much on the same principle. The body and mind are connected, and we can actually access a lot of things just through the body, and also by working with the massage and with the digestive system. So we actually actively listen to the sounds of the digestive system as we're working through the massage.
Great. So really holistic toolkit there from Liz. Jenny, tell us a little bit about what you do. I know some people have already met you on our lives before, but for anyone who hasn't heard from you before.
Yes, that sounds awesome though, Liz, by the way. So my name's Jenny Tomei. I am a nutritional therapist, and I'm also a personal trainer as well. I specialise in sort of digestive issues, IBS, and things. And so I really enjoy that area, and sort of gut-brain access. Really interested in that area too.
Cool. Yeah. So, ladies, we obviously are here. We have asked the question: Does the brain affect the gut? Of course it does. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here making a big old conversation about it. One of the big questions that I see come up a lot is, in what way are emotions tied to the gut? Do either of you want to tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I can start if that's okay with everyone. Yeah. So first of all, I think we kind of need to talk a little bit about what an emotion is. Emotions are actually feelings that start in the body. We have some body sensations, and then those signals from the body go into the brain, and the brain interprets it as, oh, okay, this is fear, this is happiness, this is anxiety, and what have you. So the actual emotions have a bodily basis. So if we think about fear, for instance, how do we recognize fear as fear and not something else? So we will notice maybe that we have our hands go cold and maybe clammy. We will recognize that the mouth goes dry, or we have a knot on the stomach, talking about gut. So things will happen in the body physiologically, and then the brain will kind of pick up those signals and recognize what's going on, and then try and figure out an optimal response. Yeah, that's in an ideal situation, in an ideal world. And a lot of the time, we're really not conscious about all of this. One thing that the body does really well is optimization. It tries to get things done as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And when it all works and it's all tick-tock, it's absolutely great, because it does things without us even having to really think about it. Yeah. So the problem really starts not so much when when we have these feelings or emotions. The problem is not anxiety, the problem is not fear. They're there for a very good reason. Yeah. So if if somebody is, you know, something is happening and I need to respond quickly, that fear response will get me into action straight away. Yeah. So it's actually a very good response that we have. The problem comes when it gets stuck, and when, or either we go into a collapse, so there's absolutely no response whatsoever, or we are permanently in an activated fight or flight mode. So a stressful, always anxious, and that has all sorts of repercussions on the digestive system as well.
I see. And Jenny, when you're working with sort of your nutritional therapy clients, are they is it really clear when someone's presenting problems that are maybe related to an allergy as opposed to something that's more of emotional attachment?
Yeah, so what Liz mentioned about sort of the kind of the stress and the gastrointestinal symptoms that people get, I see a lot of things like bloating. It's called like a functional sort of, that's in functional bowel disorders. So it's, you know, it's something that I, you know, personally suffered with, and that's why, you know, I went into it and studied it and wanted to learn about it. You know, stress can trigger off those signals within the guys, and that comes under functional bowel disorders. And yes, the people that I do see, they think that it's down to some sort of food intolerance, so they start cutting out certain foods out their diet. And it's just, it's not about the food, it's about the stress and the gut and the brain, the signals that are coming to the brain to the gut, and then that sends off signals, which, you know, if people who've got sensitive guts, that can trigger things like, you know, things like bloating, abdominal pain. For some people, you know, people get constipated, or they go the other way, that have least sort of bowels, and so massive connection there, and it's not always down to the food.
So I guess some of the symptoms, like you're saying, are sometimes it's sort of, I guess quite often you get presented with more physical symptoms that someone's experiencing, whereas Liz, I imagine quite a lot of the time it's an emotional symptom that is arriving at your door.
You get actually both.
Okay.
Yeah, you actually get both, yes. And a lot of the time, I think, because see, the social aspect of all of this is the fact that in our Western society, we've become really good at separating things, you know.
Exactly,
because we get so specific. In a way, it's been really good because we can really deep dive in a specific area. But the problem with that system of being, is that you struggle to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that everything is connected. You just can't separate it completely, you know. So we have like an understanding of this separation, which is actually not how it really works. So people that come to me, they also come with very fit, because it's a body psychotherapy. So they already have some sort of, sometimes is a very clear understanding, and sometimes it's just an intuition, you know, just a gut feeling, call it that, yeah, since we are in the theme. But like a gut feeling that actually maybe there's some connection here. Yeah, and then we start to explore it in different ways.
Okay, so they're sort of holding, is it that they're holding on to the emotion in their body? Can it come up in other ways aside from your gut? You know, are there other ways that sometimes displays where people are holding emotions as well?
Absolutely, we can hold our emotions, and we can hold memories in the body. You know, I think one of the clearest things is especially very early memories, when the brain, the system by which we store memory develops through age. You know, especially when we're really small, like an infant, our memory system is very different from like an adult. So our body can actually store a lot more memory, even if consciously we don't remember any of it. And maybe parts of the brain weren't quite formed enough, like speech, for instance, yeah. But the body will still have that physical sensation, or can still, you know, it's a little bit like smell memory, or like seeing something, or having a feeling in your chest that reminds you of something. Again, is part of that, you know, really clever ability of you know, our system to be able to try and optimize as much as possible. So it creates links, pathways, and the more that pathway is, you know, kind of trod on, it's like a street. The more, it's like a highway actually. So the busier the road, the bigger the highway and the quicker you get through it. So the quicker the body is kind of going into that, you know, be it a memory, be it a response, it doesn't have to be conscious at all. Yeah, it can be actually very unconscious, but the body will just respond to it. So things like, you know, PTSD is a very, very clear, you know, case of this, but it doesn't have to be PTSD. It can just be again, a gut feeling. It can be like a sensation on any level, on the skin, on the muscles. We store emotions in our muscular levels as well, in contraction of the muscles. Yeah. So which muscle groups I'm contracting and which I'm not, and how habitual is that? Yeah.
You even mentioned gut feeling there. That's, you know, there's a reason we get gut feelings, isn't it? Yeah.
Definitely.
with obviously we're thinking there the body is holding on to an emotion, and then it's responding in a, you know, it's showing another symptom, you know, because of the, I guess, the external trauma, whatever has occurred. It's then impacted the body. What about if you have, you know, people talk about an imbalance of gut flora? Can it work the other way, via the same highway, as it were?
So gut flora, yeah. So I guess well, maybe you, Jenny, can actually touch on the gut flora a little bit more, but certainly like things like stress, anxiety, and what have you, can have a real impact on not just the digestive system, but the endocrine system and all that kind of stuff. So all the hormones and things like that, and that will have an impact, I'm guessing, on the flora. I'm not the expert on flora.
on the gut flora sort of, but yeah, there is obviously, if you've got an imbalance of good and bad bacteria, that can obviously lead to an imbalance, yes, and that down the line that can cause like things like IBS and things like that. And then stress and anxiety can trigger off that imbalance, because stress is not good for our good bacteria within our gut, because stress can obviously, you know, deplete good bacteria in our gut, and stress is not good for things like our gut lining and things like that. And then, you know, people start, their tolerance to certain foods go down, and these are things like certain FODMAPs found in foods, so certain types of carbohydrates. So when our stress, you know, goes up, our tolerance to certain foods will, you know, go up as well. So then you'll have a heightened sensitivity in the gut. And
it kind of ends up being a little bit of a circle, because I imagine stress, because you've got the intolerance or that symptom of discomfort going on, so then it comes back round.
Yeah, it's going to keep constantly going round. If that kind of gut, if it's sending triggers constantly from here to here, it's constant, and over time that can have detrimental effects to your gut health as well.
So what is it that someone could do about this? What is it? Obviously you guys work with your clients on this, so maybe talk to us a little bit about what you could do, what people could do for themselves as well. Whoever would like to go first can give their opinion.
Actually, I'm quite curious to hear from Jen, and as well, I guess, if I can kind of just chip in. My curiosity would also be like, how did that imbalance start in the first place? You know?
Yeah.
What was happening there?
With clients that I see sort of a lot of things like bloating, and I mean I use myself an example as well, right? Because I've been through it all, especially like I've suffered, but I was definitely had functional bloating. I was a runner. I did a lot of running, a lot of stress, a lot of cortisol, so stress on the body. Stresses in life as well. You know, my emotions were definitely being stored in my gut. Didn't realize that. And as soon as I faced up to obviously some unconscious mind as well, we store a lot of things in our unconscious mind. And so tapping into my subconscious mind helped me a lot. Reducing the amount of high intense exercise I was doing. So people who do a lot of high intense exercise, it can put a lot of pressure on the gut as well. And it can lead to things like a lot of obviously high intense exercise, especially things like running as well, long distance running. It can increase your cortisol levels, so that's more stress, adds more stress to the gut. So I, did sort of lower intensity sort of workouts, let my body rest. I actually tuned into my inner calm. I didn't actually have an inner calm. I didn't know what that was.
Discovered your inner calm.
I was like, I had to find my inner calm, and it was really hard because I'm very type A personality, very driven, and so I had to really tap into that inner sort of calm zone. I did that through, it was hard work, not gonna lie, it was very hard work. You have to work at it. So I did a lot of yoga, and so I get clients to do yoga, get them to do meditation. Meditation's massive. Just giving yourself that 10-15 minutes out every day is so important, especially during these times as well, because if our body's if we're constantly thinking, that's mental fatigue as well, and that's going to cause even more stress. So the biggest advice I give to people is just to know when to stop, have that full stop on yourself, because I don't think it's so hard to just keep going and not have that stop button. And that's the biggest advice that I do give to people.
Well, I would absolutely wholeheartedly agree, by the way. I mean, we have this idea of pulsation being like the optimal thing in terms of, if you think about, life generally and life force, there is this motion of even with breathing, for instance, there is this motion of pulsation. And even with the digestive system, if we stick with the gut theme, there is this motion of pulsation, of moving things through. And what pulsation really is kind of this moment of activity, breathing in, expanding, activity, and then relaxation. You have to relax at some point, and that is life. And that's what, in order to have a healthy life system, there is this need of pulsation. And this is actually kind of like the starting point for flexibility. If we think about being in the world and life happening, having that ability to pulsate, so to action, to respond to a situation, to act on something, and then to rest afterwards, and literally rest and digest everything that's been going on. And that is such an important part for the gut, because that's exactly what it does. It digests things. And we've been taught that it's just food that is digesting, but it's not. It's everything. The kind of function of the gut is about breaking down things into bite size, into smaller things that we can then absorb into the system, all the nutrients and the lovely stuff. Emotionally, we can talk about, also emotions can be very rich, so all that stuff like really nourishes us, also on a spiritual level. So we can take it on every dimension that we want. That is kind of breaking those things into manageable sizes that we can then really absorb, and then discarding everything that's not needed. And in that letting go of the stuff that's not needed, again, we have this action and relaxation.
I guess kind of both of you have made the point of action, relaxation. It's not that you don't get to still be driven in some way, or I mean, Jenny, you still run, don't you? I see you post your post about your runs and do your things. It's not that you just right, exactly. It's not that you don't get to be who you are and who you would like to be, and it's actually just supporting your journey towards that by taking the step back in between and letting yourself have the in-betweens, it not just be so focused.
Well, if you think about the other side, if you went into completely opposite spectrum, and just were in a place of constant relaxation, you're just there.
That was nice.
It might feel nice for about 5 minutes, but like constantly, it becomes quite lifeless. It actually becomes quite aggressive.
And I imagine that your gut would respond to that too, in terms of it would be not quite so efficient, or I don't know if you have that experience with clients as well sometimes, where they come in and it is the other way.
Well, that's interesting with the massage, actually, because with biodynamic massage we do listen to the sounds of the gut, and with the and we look at a variety of other different things. It's not just that, but that informs so much about what is actually going on during the massage, how the person is responding to the massage, the sense of security, because the gut, if you don't feel safe, you don't digest because you're in alarm, you're in attention, what we call the sympathetic charge, or whatever you want to call it. But without going too technical, so it tells us about our sense of safety. It tells us about how we're actually able to process things. If there's too much, then you're not able to take in. Everything is just out. But if there's nothing, then you're not actually releasing anything. So again, through the noises, when you listen to the massage, is amazing, because listening to a massage, listening to the digestive system on a massage, it really takes you into a journey of, okay, what's happening now,
I don't do biodynamic massage, but I love that bit of my massage sessions where I get to do someone's tummy, and lots of massage therapists do skip that in their massages, as far as I've learnt along the way. But actually, it's such a wonderful place to come into somebody's solar plexus, to really come into that center of their, if I think about my soul, as it were, that's where it is, right in my tummy, and that's where and to have that massage can be so comforting. And I have people that just and I don't listen to it, and I think, gosh, that now I want to do that too. Another few years of training, but it just feels like that would be such an interesting thing to actually hear somebody's body respond to that, because people's reaction to having their stomach massaged is so wonderful. Sometimes they're just not expecting to enjoy that in the way they do.
But that happens also if you massage, I don't know, the pinky, for instance.
Right.
I might be spending, or maybe not half a session, but I might be spending quite a bit of time just on the fingers, because we can hold so much in the hands.
Oh, really? Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. There's there's so much that we can hold in the whole body, and at different levels. The skin level, the fascia, muscle, so much.
It's interesting. Lots of women, as far as I understand, and certainly for myself, since having a child, I've had much more pain in my hands, and I do wonder if that's partly to do with my experience. But it's it does. There's obviously some sort of connection there with that. That's a whole nother. We'll have that on another session, but that made me. Sparked my interest on that. I'll be with you soon. So here's a question, really for Jenny. You might have an opinion on it as well, Liz, but we're often asked about detoxes as someone that provides diet plans as part of what you do, a part of what you do. I imagine a lot of people say, oh, but I just want to detox, or I want to just can detoxing just fix everything and flush everything out and all of that. What's your opinion on detoxes? Can they be useful? Are they all bad? Are they, what's your opinion?
Yeah, it's a good question. I do not like any detox cleanses at all. I don't like any sort of things. Yeah, I don't. Detox cleansing, things like diet sort of pills and detox pills and things like that, they just aren't necessary. I mean, I've seen a lot of things like colon cleanses and juices and things like that, and the only thing is with that is that they don't help, because it's just a quick fix. Yes, someone says they go on a cleanse or a juice sort of cleanse, well, of course they're going to feel more energized, because your digestion, it takes energy to digest food. So when you're putting in juicing, your gut's not got a lot of work to do, right? So you're putting in a lot of juice, so you're going to have a lot more energy because there's not enough food there to digest. And then when you go back to normal eating, you're just going to experience things like bloating, because your gut has to start working again, and it's a very short-term fix, and it just burns a hole in your purse or your wallet.
Yeah, they're normally quite expensive, aren't they, up front, and probably world in 10 days or so. So you'd say steer clear, really, and for just a more balanced diet. What about probiotics? I know you've spoken to me a lot about probiotics, and people are coming to learn a little bit more about them. Is that something that you would suggest in order to support gut health?
Well, yeah, so with probiotics, I think, so when you choose a probiotic, you want to look at the strains. So each strain has a different therapeutic action. So, if I wanted to treat someone who was suffering with, things like constipation or something, or bloating, I would look for a specific strain that has been studied to help treat bloating. But I don't necessarily normally give probiotics, because there's a lot that you can do through diet. So things like, eating variety, at least 20 to 30 different plant-based foods every week, prebiotic foods, things like, like garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus. There's so much that you can do through diet, because the thing is, when you take a probiotic, obviously gets digested, absorbed, but it will come and go. So good bacteria and bad, they all come and go. It's all constantly changing within our gut. So the probiotic won't stick around in your gut for very long. It will go. So there's so much that you can do through diet other than taking a probiotic, and things like fermented food as well. Kefir I regularly recommend as well.
Okay, tell us a bit more about kefir and what that does for you.
So kefir is really good for things like people who suffer with constipation. There's been a few studies done on kefir and constipation, so it can help. It contains lots of good bacteria, and there's been a few studies on the immune system as well. So it's good for that, and it contains a good source of B12, so good for energy production as well. So I'd mainly say for that.
Awesome. See, so there's loads of things you can do sort of long term that actually are much more supportive, rather than that maybe are actually long term life changing, as opposed to sort of for the here now driven action part of ourselves. So what is, if you can leave anybody with one thought in mind as you head out of the panel discussion today, what would that be? I'll start off with Liz.
Oh gosh.
Question, don't you?
Curveball on that one. I would say just looking at things with curiosity, without thinking, things are all separate, and putting things in boxes is not as simple. The body is not as simple. We are not that simple. We're real complex, down to the smallest cell in our body. We're just this intersection of so many different things. So I think one of the things would be just to approach things with curiosity, and maybe ask, what is really going on here? Or what's my experience, what's happening, and trying to tap into again that gut feeling, or that that curiosity about just your lived experience, whether it's the gut, whether it's the body, whether it's the mind, whether it's thought processes, everything will have a bearing. So I would say just be curious.
Be curious. Jenny, have you got anything to add in there?
I think everyone should go away and discover their inner calm.
Great. Meditation for everybody.
Yeah. Meditation, 10 minutes a day.
Meditation every day, please. You can go and see Eric, and you can go and see Katrina at Truth Pie if you want to. Amazing. So thank you guys for ladies for joining me today. That's really informative. I've learned a lot. I hope everybody watching has learned a lot, and thank you everybody for joining us, and hope you found lots of value from what the ladies have gone through there. If you do want to talk to them, they both offer consultations if you want to have a quick chat just to see more what they do on a long-term basis with their clients as well. But we will be back in the Time for Truth Pie group, I'm sure, at some point with lots of other topics. Coming up for you on Friday, I have a chat with Amy Moore and Daniel Hope, massage therapists. So we're looking quite in quite a lot of detail at bodywork therapy on Friday. So do join us for that. That is at 2 p.m. and I'll look forward to seeing you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.